Hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another episode of a series that I'm calling Valiant Till the Last. This is, I don't know, the fifth or sixth, I guess, episode of this. I have to say I'm slightly impressed with myself for keeping it going this long. That said, there should be a lot more videos in this series to come. With no further ado, today's video is going to be about Harbinger Deluxe Edition Volume 2. What this series is me reading my entire Deluxe Edition collection. I own every single Valiant Deluxe Edition barring one, and I'm just going to read through all of them. I've never read them before. I'm kind of working out the order as I go because there's so many different reading orders online, and also giving you an overview of the Deluxe Edition as we are. So at the moment I've been doing a bit of a Harbinger run through. So I did Harbinger, Bloodshot, Harbinger Wars, and from Harbinger Wars I decided to go into the rest of the Harbinger run, which is the Deluxe Edition of Volume 2. This is the cover. This is the spine. This is the back. Okay. And let's just get that dust jacket off. Again, classic Harbinger logo. Fits the styling of the first volume, which is very nice. Yeah. And then again, spine lines up nicely. If you're one of those people that likes to have things using the raw spine rather than having a dust jacket spine, and all these will still line up really well. The back is blank. End lease, blue pages again. Alright, let's dive straight into it. So, what does this contain? This contains the arc Perfect Day, which is, it's got a one-page thing there called The Origin of Harbinger. I'll show you in a second. And then it has a Harbinger's issue 15. Keep in mind, Harbinger Wars ended with Harbinger issue 14. So this is Harbinger issues 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Then it has a very short arc called Resistance, which is issue 20, 21, and then the Harbinger Bleeding Monk 0 one-shot. The placement of this one-shot, this Bleeding Monk story, is relatively arbitrary. I mean, to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, it could have gone anywhere, but this is where it goes. Then we have the next story arc, which is Death of a Renegade. That's issues 22, 23, 24 to 25, and then like random extra bits. From what I gather, issue 25 of Harbinger, and I think quite a lot of Valiant series, I think, contain lots of like short vignette stories, and so it's been collected here in this way. And then we have Harbinger's Omega, issues 1 to 3, and the Imperium Prelude. I'm conscious, looking at some of the reading orders I've seen, that's a slightly controversial decision, because in between this issue and the first issue of Harbinger Omegas, there is a mini-series of Armor Hunters, Harbinger. So it's a 3-issue series, which is part of the Armor Hunters crossover, which is largely an Exo Manowar event, and an Exo Manowar event that I obviously haven't read yet. However, I thought, you know what? Take the plunge, I'll just read all of these and see if it makes sense. Obviously, if I got to these and they didn't make sense, then I would know there's an issue with the mapping of the hardcover. But so far, Valiant have been really, really good with that. So, diving straight in, we've got our first arc, we've got our covers there, as they have. And then, oh, this is the one page I said, Origin of Harbinger, as a recap. Don't read this unless you've read the earlier bit, because this would make no sense at all. So I have to say that, but for some reason I have a one-page recap. And then it just gets into the story itself. I have to say, guys, this hardcover was just brilliant. It was just great, really good. Lots of twists, lots of turns, lots of great character moments, good characterization, start to finish. This was just rocking. Loved it, absolutely loved it. They used a thing where they use different kind of art styles to reflect flashbacks or to reflect sort of alternate perspectives and stuff, which is really, really cool. Like, it's not an original technique, but it's just done very well here. Anyway, like I say, this was just fucking brilliant. Then we get the second arc, Resistance. As I said, 2 issues in the Bleeding Monk issue 0 one-shot. And then it just continues. This is just... It's great. It continues the battle of the Harbinger Renegades, which is Peter Stanchek's crew, which is these guys, versus Toyo Harada, I guess the Magneto-like figure who's the head of the foundation, the Harbinger Foundation. That's this dude here. And it just continues that battle between the two, as well as characterization, development of the characters, a bit more world building and so on. It's just great. That's the end of the second arc. The third arc is Death for a Renegade, 4 issues there. Spoiler warning, it's about a renegade dying. If you're the sort of person that finds titles like that spoilers, then comics definitely aren't for you. I did once hear from a guy who complained when I talked about the Death of Superman story arc, because he said it was a spoiler. Yeah, life can be tough sometimes. Anyway, so there's this story arc. Again, really good, really strong. Well worth a read. And then you've got these issue 25 kind of one shot. So you've got like little vignettes there. And then, as I recall, yeah, it's got stuff in this really weird art style here, which is quite jarring and different to the normal style. And then also it has it in this kind of like, I want to say webcomic, but that's quite dismissive towards webcomics. I guess it's just not a style that I like, I suppose. And then it's got some other stuff here. And so that takes us to the end of Harbinger Series 1 from Valiant, which is the 2012 series that started with the relaunch. We then have a separate series, which is Harbinger Omegas, which are these 3 issues, and then it has something called Imperium Prelude. So yeah, generally the story, like I say, is the battle between Toyo Harada and Peter Stanchek. It's just, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, I'm not going to talk about anything other than the scope and the world building and the realism and just the depth of sort of thought and narrative. It's great. So yeah, story continues here. What I discovered when I was reading this is that Harbinger Omegas moves very smoothly on from Harbinger issue 25. So all this talk about, oh, you have to read the Armor Hunters Harbinger miniseries before you read Omegas, do you? I don't think you do. I'll find out, obviously, when I read Armor Hunters. But right now, I did not feel like I'd missed a beat. I felt like it was all absolutely perfectly synced up. So you get to the end of Omegas, and then the hardcover includes Imperium Prelude. So, again, written by Joshua Dysart, who's written all of Harbinger so far. Now, what this does is this refers, for the first time in the whole Harbinger series, it refers to Exo Manowar. He's been alluded to fleetingly in one passing reference to Romania at one stage, but then you never actually see him. He's never actually sort of part of the story at all. So clearly he's part of Imperium. And this is the Imperium Prelude. What that makes me think is that maybe I need to read Exo Manowar before I read Imperium, because obviously he's like in Imperium somehow. But at the same time, Imperium is very much clearly a narrative continuation of the Harbinger story. I'm not going to sort of end by telling you what happens at the end of the first series of Harbinger, because it involves quite a lot with the global political status quo and so on. But Imperium clearly continues on from that, and I'm really, really fascinated to read it. So I don't believe I'm going to read Manowar. At least not before I read Imperium. So more on that in just a second. Just before I finish the hardcover flip through, we've got the gallery section, standard. Artwork looks amazing. Again, love these kind of extra features, these panel breakdowns. Yeah, not a huge amount of extra features, but, you know, not going to knock it. And that was the end of Deluxe Edition Volume 2, which is the second and final Harbinger Deluxe Edition. Which is interesting, given it was such a flagship title when the series launched. It's weird. Like, what I'll say about the comic so far is this: Harbinger Volume 1, the Deluxe Edition, I did not enjoy. It was not a good way to start the Valiant universe, because it actually made me quite concerned to myself that maybe I'd done a bit of a misstep in buying all these Deluxe Editions on faith more than anything else. But having got through Harbinger Volume 1, Bloodshot definitely redeemed itself. And then we had Harbinger Wars, and now we've got Harbinger Deluxe Edition 2, and it's, at this stage, it's now excellent. I'm really glad I got them all. I'm really glad I owned them, despite quite a weak beginning from a narrative perspective. This has really, got to a really strong place, and I am extremely keen to carry on reading. So in terms of carrying on reading and where I'm going to go next, the next thing I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to read Imperium next. I know, controversial. And the reason it's controversial is because of this. If we have a look at so this is a particular reading guide that you can get for Valiant Comics. And this is kind of in line with the standard recommendations people give. So, we've done Harbinger, we've done Bloodshot. They both combine in Harbinger Wars. I've then done Harbinger Volume 2. The thing is, after Harbinger Volume 2, people generally recommend reading either Faith or Secret Weapons, both of which are hardcovers that I have. And then kind of going down this route of where to go down next and what to read next and so on. I don't think that's what I'm going to do, because Imperium very much seems to be the next thing after Harbinger. I've got Faith, I've got Secret Weapons, and I've in fact got Harbinger Wars 2 and Livewire and a bunch of other things as well that are Harbinger related. But the thing is, it feels to me like Imperium is next. There's also some other comics which are Harbinger related very clearly, but aren't collected in deluxe editions. So there's the Generation Zero miniseries and the Harbinger Renegades miniseries. I have both of those, but again, I'm not going to read those next because it does feel very much like Imperium comes next straight after Harbinger Volume 2. I may well be wrong, but that's part of this whole kind of reading order thing that I'm doing. There is a temptation, obviously, given that I know that Exo Manowar, this character here, is in Imperium, there is a temptation for me to read this series first, and even Armor Hunters, for example, before going into Imperium. But at the end of the day, you've got to keep kind of a flexible mind with reading orders and comic universes, because there is no perfect reading order. Despite what people tell you, there definitely isn't. All there is a reading order that makes kind of consistent sense in your own head. So, as it stands now, I've gone here, 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 and then I'm going to go to Imperium. Imperium's not on this list, because Imperium actually came out way later than the rest of these series. But that's misleading, because Imperium came out as a deluxe edition collection way after the rest of these series. From what I can tell, Imperium issue 1 actually came out before either of these. So actually, I think for a lot of reasons it makes sense for Imperium to go there. But yeah, we'll find out. If you are reading along and doing this with me, then that means that next week's video is going to be about Imperium, which is quite a meaty 16-issue read. But yeah, it'd be awesome if you want to do that along with me. If not, don't worry about it. I'll see you on our next video.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.